Welcome to Alexander Dumas's The Three Musketeers, and right now we're going to have to do a review. Let's get this started, and then we're finally done with The Three Musketeers. First off, I'm going to say, and have a little spoiler alert here, these Three Musketeers, Porthos, Athos, and Aramis, they're actually all real people. They're based on real people that Alexander Dumas researched about, and D'Artagnan is mostly fictional. However, his name is actually real. D'Artagnan was actually, according to the introduction of the story, as in like note on translations, before that the introduction, apparently Dumas basically read this memoir about this guy named D'Artagnan, thought the name was cool, and he decided to just go ahead and use it for it. So that happens. Next thing that happens is all these things, and he goes ahead and starts up this romantic hero genre, which actually hits on really well. And since it hit out really well, it became really popular and basically became the heroic novel, the traditional heroic novel, where the guy is romantic and buff and exy, and with all those pros and cons, he goes ahead and does everything he can to do just to do his stuff. And with all this, he actually gets much better at doing his work. Here, D'Artagnan is our protagonist, and since he's the greatest protagonist, he's actually pretty good. He's young, he's charismatic, he's also got a girlfriend, as in the name of Constance. However, he also has his noticeable flaws. Like in Greek mythology and all those, they're pretty much flawless. They're like not unhuman, like they're all just godlike, and they're all, I cannot make a mistake. If I do make a mistake, I'm a stupid idiot. However, they compare those to humans, and they see humans as full of flaws. And those flaws are actually what makes humans interesting. So later on, people realize that's literally what I just said. Like, flaws are what makes humans really interesting. And so they go ahead and do everything they can. Let's go ahead and create flawed characters. Then, of course, this genre doesn't hit up pretty well. And then they realize they can actually more easily work with them and see through their eyes. And with that, we get a new genre, and people seem to start liking all this. And to be honest, I think D'Artagnan is like the first one where there's romance and hero. In fact, Alexander Dumas Jr. goes ahead. It's probably one of the first authors to actually write like this style too, where the hero is romantic as well as heroic. Now, of course, all these people are all real, alright, but what are some of they based on? Well, Alexander Dumas Sr.'s adventures are sometimes in these stories too. Alexander Dumas Sr. never actually had a memoir or anything written, even though he was a great general during his lifetime and during his son's lifetime too. So technically, the closest thing that we got back then was Alexander Dumas Jr.'s books, like as in the Three Musketeers and also the Count of Monte Cristo, The Man in the Iron Mask, all those actually worked out pretty well too. And to be honest, we all have glimpses of Alexander Dumas Sr. here, probably D'Artagnan doing all this great stuff and somehow surviving and dodging bullets like it's Neo from the Matrix. And since it's all like that, we actually get a lot of things to do here too. Alexander Dumas Sr. is a great guy. Sure, he was able to somehow rise back from the dead as if he was a zombie, scare away like a very big army, and single-handedly defeated just because he's been shot in the head several times and he saw the Black Devil is dead. The Black Devil's not dead, run! All that works out pretty well too. And then of course we have today. So how does this actually work out with today? To be honest, Alexander Dumas did a really great job in getting it up to date with the modern days. However, today we don't have musketeers anymore. We have the army, we have the land army, we have the sea army, the navy as we call it. We also have the air forces. But what does that have to do with people who are trained to do muskets, which is kind of misleading, because musketeers, sure, their name comes from man with musket. However, musketeers didn't really use their muskets very much because musketeers apparently took 30 seconds to load and that they really needed a bunch of training that no one wanted to do. Not even the king himself wanted to do all that. However, they're required to do that. They're issued muskets, of course. However, they're also issued swords because apparently swords are easier to use and needs less training to be able to learn it. And with that, we get a lot of things here too. So Alexander Dumas Sr., he does everything he can to do everything he wants. Not. Because here, it actually reflects the modern day world too. We don't have musketeers and kings and, well, technically we still have kings, but we don't have the musketeers and everyone doesn't have a king anymore. It's not like 19th century France anymore. It's not 17th century France anymore. It's modern day people. Nowadays, possibly the closest thing we have to musketeers are the army. And then again, these guys aren't heroic and everything too. Some guys go and become heroic, but however, everyone's, let's say, on par. Everyone's on par. Like, same par. So they don't really have a pretty big advantage against each other. Everyone's using tanks, everyone's using guns, everyone's using bombs. Some of them use nukes, which they infrequently use, thank God. And it's still relevant today because it shows us how much people can actually go ahead and make themselves great. There's still tragedy in this world. There's still like medieval century like fiction, like a damsel in distress kind of fiction, where there's this knight in shining armor, those kinds of things. However, I don't think that metaphor will go ahead and appeal with our generation nowadays. Sure, it'll make sense, but we won't probably understand it, at least the younger generation will, who haven't studied and read these kinds of books for a while. So that's it. So what do I have to say about me? I don't have anything to say about me. So I hope you guys actually did enjoy this episode. I really hope you guys did. And so until next time, Sean out. Peace. Bye bye. Wear a helmet.